Hey, hello everyone. Hey, welcome back to my channel, the Virginia Bushcrafter. Hey, if this is your first time here, my channel is about learning and practicing bushcrafting, prepping, and survival skills. Hey, one of my favorite things to do is actually bushcrafting. So I want to just talk to you today about the essential bushcraft tools. Now, we know that bushcraft focus on using the resources that are already there. And those resources are shelter, food, water, and air. Everything you need to make a shelter in the bush is there. There is food that you can forage. There's a water source that you can get your water, filter it, and purify it. And of course, there's an abundance of air. But when it comes to bushcrafting itself, there is some skill sets. And these skill sets are things such as fire making, foraging food, tracking, trapping, hunting game, deer, squirrels, rabbit, and shelter building. So those are the skill sets that are needed for bushcrafting. Now, to bushcraft, you must have the right tools. There's no substitute. You must have the right tools. And the right tools are a knife, a hatchet or an axe, a saw, a compass, and a fire stick. Those are the 5 essential tools needed to bushcraft or go out in the wild. That's going to help you put together or make your shelter. Again, these tools will help you do foraging, source water, and of course there's air. So let's start with the knife. Now we know that we have to have a sharp and sturdy knife. The knife is indispensable. Now, there are many different types of knives, but I want to speak specifically on a bushcraft knife. Now, this bushcraft knife is a full tang knife. That's one of the most important things, is to have a full tang knife, and even better if you have a pommel. And the reason why I say a full tang is because it is less prone to break or damage. Whereas if you have an everyday carry knife, which is a folder, it's subject to break, bend, or so forth. And another thing you want to consider when you have your bushcraft knife is the drop point. This portion here, that is the drop point. And that's good for skinning and gutting deer or cleaning rabbits or something of that nature. And this drop point makes it easy to handle in your hand. So the next thing about the bushcraft knife, I would say you want to get a flat grind or more so a Scandinavian grind knife. Now, this flat grind, if you notice, it's flat here, and then there's a bevel change. That's the Scandinavian grind. And that helps you to do detailed work. And it also helps you to make feather sticks, which is very, very important. Now, if it was a flat grind, I'll just show you with the saw. If it was a flat grind, this would just go straight down until you get to this bevel, and then the angle would change. And another thing is that the thicker the blade, the better. So those are some of the characteristics of the knife that is one of the essential bushcrafting tools. Also, it is better to have your knife at 3.5 to 6 inches. Now, with that size, it can do, again, small details such as making pot hangers, feather sticks, notches, and even eating utensils. And this small blade can do heavy duty work, such as splitting wood by using a baton, but I'm beginning not to recommend that, but you can do that. Now, I think anything that is smaller than a 3.5 inch will be harder to handle. And anything bigger than 6 inches is basically a large knife or a machete. So this, again, this blade is 5 inches. Now, the next thing you want to consider with the bushcraft knife is, do you prefer a carbon steel or a stainless steel? Now, this carbon steel is very durable, it is easy to sharpen, and it throws better sparks with the ferro rod as opposed to the stainless steel. Now, one thing about this carbon steel knife, when I go to the bush, I always carry some type of firearm oil. It doesn't matter if it's Vaseline or something to prevent rust, because they will rust if they are not properly cared for. So again, this is a carbon steel knife. It is very durable. Again, one reason, because of the thickness of the blade. It is easy to sharpen, and it throws very good sparks. Now, there are stainless steel blades, and I think it's a matter of personal choice. But with stainless steel blades, it takes longer to sharpen them. However, the benefit is a stainless steel will retain its sharpness much longer and requires very little maintenance, and virtually the stainless steel is rust proof. So if I'm going to go somewhere and I know I'm with a group and we're going to be around a lot of water, I'm going to take a stainless steel bushcraft knife. Now, again, as I said, it's very easy to sharpen this knife. So usually you can get a whetstone that has two sides, a coarse side and a fine tuning side. And usually with those, you can buy sharpening tools, again, that have a coarse side, a fine side, and then it would have a ceramic rod to fine tune it and even polish it with a strop. These are just basic things to maintain the sharpness of your knife. All right, guys. Now, the next essential tool that I think is the next essential tool is an axe or a hatchet. Now, this itself is a hatchet. Now, a hatchet or an axe, they are basically for tasks that your knife cannot do, or you should not do with your knife. For example, felling a tree. Now, you can actually fell a tree with a knife, but it's going to take you much longer, and I don't think it's healthy for your knife. You can fell a tree with your knife by what they call beaver cutting, but that is very time consuming, when you can use a hatchet or an axe. Also, for delimbing, this is a fantastic tool. When there is a large tree trunk on the ground or in the air, you can use this to remove those branches that you will possibly use for kindling. And this is even better for cutting and splitting large pieces of wood. Again, you can split wood with your knife and you can cut it, but it's much easier to use a hatchet. And this is very good for building a permanent shelter. So now your axe can be carbon steel or stainless steel. Again, I prefer carbon steel. Now, you don't have to get the largest axe there is, that is probably like 26 inches, or the smallest one that can be 7 inches, because a large axe is going to penetrate the wood more, but it's going to require more energy to swing it. Whereas a smaller hatchet, the smaller hatchet is lighter, it's going to take less energy to swing it, it's easy to stow, just put it right in your backpack and you're on your way. But something that's very important with your axe and your hatchet is the ergonomics of the handle and the grip. You want to make sure that you can get a firm grip on the handle. You can even possibly use a lanyard, but you must be very careful with the lanyard, as I was informed by someone else that if you have a lanyard on your hand and it slips out, well, the hatchet's going to come back to you. But that is why it is always advisable to use leather gloves when using any cutting tool. So far we have a knife and a hatchet or an axe. Now, some people prefer not to carry a hatchet or an axe, so they would carry a saw, a folding saw. There's a lot of good saws on the market, but what's even better if you are able to get a saw that cuts on the push and the pull. But again, use a folding saw because it's lighter and it's easy to carry. I mean, it makes straight cuts. It's good for shelter building and for sturdiness. So when I want to cut a log to a specified length, I'm going to use a saw instead of a hatchet. I'm going to be much more accurate with this saw. And again, saws are more efficient. They take less time to cut and they produce more outcome. So 3 cutting tools that are very essential to bushcrafting. Again, a bushcraft knife. Again, there are a lot of knives on the market. A hatchet or an axe and a saw. All right, guys, the next essential tool is a compass. Now, you don't need to, I don't suggest you get a compass with all the fancy bells and whistles, but you need a reliable one, a basic base plate compass. A compass is going to provide you with direction of travel arrow. Now, that arrow will tell you which direction to point the compass when you are when you're on a trail or you're walking through the bush. That direction of travel, let's see if you can see it. Let me see, put you in focus here. There's also index lines. These are in line with the direction of travel arrow. It also comes with a scale or ruler, which you use on your map scales to determine distance. And also you have the rotating bezel. That's called the azimuth ring, and this outer ring goes to 360 degrees. And also you have on here what's called the orienteering arrows. Those are displayed with the rotating compass housing, and they're designed to be aligned in parallel with the eastons on your map. And of course there's a magnetic needle that's always pointing north and south. And it's always good to have a lanyard that this lanyard keeps the compass. It keeps the compass handy while you're on the trail, so you can just have it right here at your disposal. And you know, the lanyard part is also good for gauging distance on your map. And another good thing about this compass, which is a silver, I have a mirror that can be used for a signaling device, as well as I can examine myself to make sure there are no bugs or anything like that on me. But the bottom line is to learn how to use the compass. And I think that only comes with actually going out into the bush and practicing. There are many ways to learn the compass, but the compass can also entail ranger beads as well as a topo map. So again, so we have a knife, a hatchet, a saw, and a compass. All right, guys, and the very last essential tool that we have is a fire striker. Fire through friction. Unlike lighters or matches, this ferro rod works when it's wet. You can dip this into water, take the striker, and you will have sparks to ignite your tinder. I mean, these things are really efficient at any elevation, and the good thing about it, they don't need any fuel. So this fire starter here, at a minimum, you want to have the ferrocerium rod here, but this one has magnesium, which I can shave a pile of this off and use the ferro rod to obtain a spark, as well as having fat wood. So guys, I just wanted to come on here and share with you something I think is very, very important, so that if you're thinking about doing some bushcrafting, fire making, foraging food, trapping, hunting, shelter building, anything of that nature, if you have the basic tools, the essential tools, again, not speaking of gear, you can survive in the bush. Now, it will take practice, becoming very familiar with these tools, but that's why I always say, learn and practice. There you have it. All right, guys, I hope this has been beneficial to you, and thank you for dropping in. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter. Guys, stay safe.